Hey folks, this is Vint with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to quickly review Timberborn. This is a game that you can find on Steam's Early Access program for about $25. It is 20% off until June 7th, 2023, so if you like what you see here, you can get the game for slightly cheaper. It's also Early Access, so everything that you're about to see here is most definitely subject to change. So, humans are long gone. Will your lumberpunk beavers do any better? This is a city-building game featuring ingenious animals, vertical architecture, river control, and deadly droughts. Contains high amounts of wood. There is a map editor. I looked at it, but I don't trust myself to even mess with it yet. But it is in here should you want to give it a try. When you do start a new game, you'll be able to choose between two different factions, although the second one can only be unlocked by progressing so far with the Folktales. That's the original faction that you get. The Folktales, the original faction that you get, are more of the nature-loving type of beavers. They want to save the environment, where you've got these iron teeth beavers that want to destroy everything, and they just want to do all the iron and all the science, all the machines, all that good stuff. Timberborn, once you choose a map, will throw you down into the world with a limited population, some starting resources, and a main building. Sound familiar? Well, if you've played Banished and other games like it, then you'll be very familiar with how this all works. Start with very small amounts of resources and food, and it's your job to keep your people alive in order to grow and get to more endgame content. Now, in this case, you're going to be managing beavers instead of people, and I love that. I love the theme. The buildings that you can click on have smart alecky text in it. There's even a Lord of the Rings reference in the potatoes building text, but anyway, I digress. So, there is a tutorial in this game, but I will complain that it is half done. There are many times where I had to Alt-Tab in this game to figure out why something wasn't working. The water wheel, my gosh, I demolished that thing 3 times. I put it near the shore. It wasn't spinning. Oh, I need to put it out in the middle of the river so that the currents will hit it just right and it'll start spinning and generate electricity. Oh, now my beavers can't reach it. How do I get my beavers out there to do it? Okay, I've created a path for them with the dam and the paths on top, but how do I get the electricity pipes to the building? It was a nightmare. Just a complete nightmare, and the tutorial was no help whatsoever. That's one thing I want to complain about. Now, you will need to master this, however, because at certain points in the game, there are droughts. So the water will completely dry up. So you have to build a dam in order to keep your beavers alive. So just be warned, this is a major thing in the game. If you don't build a dam, if you don't get the whole watery thing mastered at some point and don't have enough water saved up, well, your beavers will unfortunately dehydrate to death. To give yourself some extra leeway, maybe build some extra water storage. Now, I have to warn you that wood in the beginning of the game is very limited. There's woodland around all over the place, but they're on different levels, like a level up than you, and you can't the beavers don't climb, so you're forced to stick to trees that are in the general vicinity, and they will run out. If you manage to get the lumber mill built that turns logs into planks, or lumber into planks, then you'll be able to build a forestry building, and that allows you just to put various types of trees down, and the beavers will manage that and just cut them down. There are like build orders in this game. Cut these trees, harvest these berries, very typical of little town builders such as Banished and the like. So there's also like other types of buildings in this game. There's farming buildings, which are really cool. You can grow a wide variety of different crops. There's wheat, in which case, you can use a building to get flour, and then you turn that flour into bread. There's carrots, which is something that you'll grow initially in this game. There's potatoes, and there's sunflowers. And yes, there are storage buildings in this game. And you'll have to manage the pathing. And pathing is one of the major things I want to stress in this game. Everything needs to be connected via path. And it doesn't sound all that bad. I mean, you're like, oh yeah, it's fine. But again, when you're constructing that water wheel, and you're trying to build a path, but also trying to make room for the electricity pipes, you'll be scratching your head going, well, how do I make this work logistically? How do I make it so that this all fits together in the right way? Over time, you'll unlock new buildings via research points. There are science buildings in this game that, when worked, will generate science points, and that's what your build menu is made up of. There are a lot of buildable buildings in this game that are locked behind science points. That's like the main progression. So you need science points in order to build some more of the advanced stuff. Getting back to pathing, as I mentioned, it's very important. There are stackable buildings in this game, which are really cool, but you have to build a path to these locations. Stairs do not build on top of each other, so if you build something 3 high, you have to figure out, how do I get this over here? I can't put stairs on the second floor foundation, so how do I get my path up to the 3rd level housing? I stuck to 2-level housing because, you know, I didn't want to mess with it anymore. But as you progress through the game, you'll unlock more advanced things. You'll get scrap, for example, which then you can turn into like metal and then start building endgame stuff like bots and other weird cool stuff. I love the idea of, you know, your civilization sort of progressing from just simple lumber and water to more advanced things. I didn't get that far only because I haven't spent that much time with it. Now, in addition to all the various resource-generating buildings and the refinement buildings, you also have to build entertainment buildings to keep your beavers happy. Campfires, there are like rooftop terraces that you can build. And this is very important because a combination of all of these things that you're doing contribute toward a happiness section, I guess, like a beaver's well-being area. This is your goals area. These are achievements that you're shooting for. It'll say things like, are you producing this many grilled potatoes at this point in time? Yes, then you get a point. How about, do you have enough social life stuff? You get a point. Monuments, you get a point. Hunger, thirst, are these things taken care of? Yes, you get a point. And when you reach a certain amount of points all at once, you unlock the next faction. So what did I think? Well, the game's still early access, so I don't want to throw out a full-blown review at this point. Things will change over time. I personally had a great time with it, aside from the learning curve that isn't really explained all that well. Again, the tutorial was half done, and the tutorials that did cover the water wheels and power and pathing, I just felt like they weren't enough to give a new player what they needed to know in order to fully succeed in this game. I feel like at this point, you need to retry a couple of times in order to get everything just right. Because again, your resources are limited in the beginning of the game until you find a way to renew your wood via the forestry building. But you can't do that until you get your power up and running, and that was the problem for me anyway. I love the cutesy nature of the game. I've played a lot of different games like Banished, very similar themes, but these have animals in them. So I'm more inclined to manage a group of beavers than I am people. So I love that, and I love the cutesy nature of the game in terms of, you know, it's casual enough and lighthearted enough to where you don't take it too seriously, but you're still thinking about placement. You have to worry about like irrigation. Things very close to the water, the trees will just grow. Things will not die there. Whereas if you build too far away from the river, then stuff will just die. So you kind of have to plan where you're going to put stuff. I do recommend this game. It is a lot of fun. I've seen it on sale in various places. I even think it's on Humble Bundle right now, but don't quote me on it. Definitely check this game out if you're interested in Banished and other town builders. If you guys haven't already, subscribe to me on Twitch and YouTube. That way you can stay up to date with any new content I happen to publish. This is Vince. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all next time. Take care.